All right. Welcome back to Taking a New Approach podcast. I am so grateful and honored and appreciative to be here recording again. I am so grateful for you beautiful souls who have clicked on this video. If you're new, please hit the subscribe button, the notification button, like it, share it, all that, even before you start. And if you have clicked it and you're new, because this is a new channel, thank you. And also stay, because like I always say, it's a reason why you clicked on the video. The universe is trying to give you a message. So listen through the whole video so you can get what you need for yourself so that you can apply it to your life and move forward and become the best person that you need to be in this world. Okay. So I always start off with some breathing exercises, which is very quick. You take, count to 3, you take your breath in, you let it out. Do it again, and then we start, because you got to realize your power is in the now. The future and the past does not exist. Everything is constantly now. Everything is constantly now. That is the only thing you need to remember in this lifetime, is everything is right now, and it's just a constant now. All right. So I'm going to count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Breathe in. Breathe out. And then again, 1, 2, 3, breathe in. And now breathe out. Hopefully you feel as good as I do. I know you do. So let's get into the topic. Now, if you looked at the title, it's interesting because I'm going to name this when it's out. Your flesh has home field advantage on earth, or something of that nature. And what I really want us to understand, because I feel like a lot of times when I talk to people or read comments or I'm listening to people or I'm just observing life, I see that a lot of people really don't understand the journey as you're going, well, whether you want to call it a journey or whatever, of the spirituality, right? Becoming your higher self. And I was thinking to myself, because it was like, even though I grew up in the church, I grew up Baptist and all this other stuff, it's certain things like you got to look at the Bible as metaphysical, right? The metaphysics of it. Most people don't understand that. You got to look behind the veil. It's not what you see on the physical, it's behind it. What is the knowledge behind that? And so I always encourage you to dig deeper for knowledge. But I wanted to talk about this because the journey is not supposed to be easy, right? And the reason why I say your flesh has home field advantage is because you're a spirit having a human experience. Like this is your equipment. Your body, your flesh is your equipment to be on this plane, this 3D reality, right? And so when you understand that, it's like if you go to another reality, your physical form might change, right? I've said this before in one of my episodes. If you go deep diving in the ocean, you don't just go in your regular body. You put on a special suit over your body so that it can maintain itself in that environment. The same thing here. So we have all heard of home field advantage, right? Whether you've been in high school, elementary school, you played sports or something. And it's basically just means that what? You have an advantage, right? The people, wherever the team is playing, they played there more. They have their crowd, their support, they're familiar. They have more confidence to win, right? But that doesn't mean necessarily, right, that it's a sure win. It just means they have an advantage. And I want those who are listening to this, or if you find this later on and you come and you saw this and it was interesting, to really understand that you're just because the flesh is supposed to be like entertained in this reality. That's the goal of it. This is where it exists. This is where it thrives. So, of course, all the things that are going to be low vibrating are going to be interesting to you. Your lower nature is always going to be entertained, right? But it doesn't mean that you need to fall for it. It doesn't mean that your spirit can't overcome and win out, right? Just like in any game that you have ever seen or any competition you've ever seen, it's always ups and downs, right? Until someone overcomes. And sometimes the home team wins, and sometimes The away team wins. But you have to look at it as, yes, your spirit is the away team right now. And you're going to have to do things, right? They're going to have to stick together. When they're on that team, or whatever it may be, you have to have that ultimate faith in yourself. You got to block out the noise. You got to do things. You can't pay attention to what's going on right for them. You got to focus on, okay, what do I need to do right for me? So what do you need to do right for your spirit to really thrive in this reality? Right? Because that's what we're here for. We're here to add to this reality and then move on. You're not here just for this. Something greater, right? And it's a battle between your flesh and your spirit. And of course, it's a lot of things that the flesh is going to be easily tempted to. And it's understandable. And if you look at it as like, okay, every day you wake up, okay, my flesh has an advantage, but it doesn't mean that it's just going to win. Right? When we fall into watching the terrible television that's just basically conditioning us, right? What we feed ourselves mentally, spiritually, physically, like those things. Yes, it's not simple, as in terms of just like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm just going to decide to not do it anymore. When you have conditioned yourself so much, right? Because if you're definitely over 35, you already conditioned your body to be your mind. And what I'm telling you is now to get your mind and your spirit to be what it's meant to be in the position it's meant to be here on this planet. Because when you understand that, for example, you've ever watched a basketball game, soccer game, sometimes it's back and forth, right? And sometimes the home team, which would be the flesh, right? They have good runs and they're winning and stuff. And then all of a sudden, right, during the game, the away team, the spirit, starts to come back, right? And it goes back and forth, and you're going back and forth. But the great thing about this is the real physical sports games, you know when that ends, right? It's a set amount of time and it ends. So no matter what, if your spirit wasn't winning and it ends, then it's done. But the great thing about life is there's an end to it, but we don't know, right? It could be 2 days from now, or it could be 40, 50 years from now. But the great thing about it is, unlike that game, you can't get that game back tomorrow. But your spirit can play the game again tomorrow. And that's what I want you to understand. Is every day when you're waking up, your spirit has a chance, another possession, another opportunity to keep going, to get better, to focus on what it needs to do well. And you can help that. This is all this is. This is how I look at it. And this is just, I'm giving you a perspective because I understand. Like, it happens, right? And some people, it's really about the perspective. If they can get a perspective of just seeing a slither of something different, or putting it in a new approach, it might just click with you to help you along your journey, because it really is how you see things, and if you view it in a different light, then you will react differently, you will understand it differently, you will even approach it and start to care about it differently. See, the reason why that you don't understand and you allow your flesh to have the home field advantage, naturally it would on this reality, is because of a lack of understanding. But when you understand this, and you understand that the drugs and the alcohol and all the stuff that's easy to fall into, that's easy, the gossiping, the negativity, all of that is so easy to fall into, because that's natural for a human. That's the human experience, right? But you are greater than that. And that's what we are learning to do. You're learning to overcome those things so that you can now transcend and never have to come back into this body. The goal is never to come back into a body. I don't know if you ever heard that, but that's the goal. You want to elevate. There's greater things beyond this realm. And a lot of times people just focus on, oh, well, you need to manifest the house. You need to manifest that. And I'm not here not to help you do that or encourage you to keep going for whatever you desire. But your ultimate goal is you don't want to come back and have to forget who you just created yourself to be to figure it out again. That's not fun. Like, that's not fun. And that's what I want you to kind of desire you to really start to ask yourself, okay, how can I give my spirit a chance today? How can I give my higher self a chance today? Where can I grow? Where can I, start to, give my spirit this advantage, even though I know the flesh can easily fall into something? Because it's always going to be times like you're always going to have stumbling blocks. That's a part of it. And it's going to be easy to just fall into a lull of like, I'm not worthy, I'm not deserving, nobody wants me, or I don't deserve anyone, or I don't deserve a good life, or I don't deserve happiness, I don't deserve peace in my life, like my kids don't deserve it, like I want negativity for all because I don't have it. Like that's the point. And there's so many different things, whether it be entities that are, playing along with that, because you got to understand it gets deeper than just the simple cookie cutter type. Oh yeah, if you just think about it, you'll become a billionaire. Like, no, it's so much greater. And I really want to not be a disservice to people and just lead them astray when it's greater than that. Right? And you have to become a student. You have to become that teacher. We all are student teachers, right? Like, I'm constantly learning, but I'm gonna constantly be teaching as well. Like, if you ever get to the point where you feel like, oh, okay, can't nobody tell me anything, you fell back into letting your flesh have home field advantage. And that's not the goal that we want. That's not gonna allow for you to have compassion, because advantage to the flesh is not having compassion. It's not being empathetic. It's not being grateful. Right. Those are the things just to let you know, like, okay, I'm living in my human form when I'm not doing those things. But when you are truly rising above that and you could bring people with you, understand, when you shine bright, either people are going to walk away from it or you just going to raise them up to your level. And that's what I'm about. Those are the people that are going to be drawn to me. And if you're listening to it, that's you. Even if you don't feel that way, because I didn't always feel this way. I grew up with low self-esteem. Like, I felt like, just like, if I didn't have anything, then I wouldn't be anything. That was like my drive in education. Like, it was like, oh, okay, well, I just need to become this, so then I can have this, and then I'll show them. That was like literally like my mindset, and that's why I fell hard in college. But I redeemed myself, and then I got in real life, fell hard again, but I redeemed myself. And then I became what I wanted to become, and realized, okay, this is not where it's meant for me to be. And again, boom, and then life hit me hard again, and I'm coming back again, because you have to understand that no matter what, even though it has home field advantage, you have something greater. You are something greater than this. And when you realize the power within you, then you become something that is truly and magnificently beyond this world, because you are. That's where, like, this is, I can't stress enough to you that this is just a false reality. And the more you can create and understand that you are in this world, but you are not supposed to be of it. And I know some of the people who might read the Bible, whatever, you might understand where that comes from. But it's a great saying, because yes, your flesh is in this world, but your spirit and what you truly believe and know is not supposed to be taking on all of what is in this reality. You are here to create and make it greater. You're listening to this, you're here to make it greater. And it might not be just tomorrow, but start to set the example as much as you can today. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Just don't, like, the reason why we get so afraid is, again, because the flesh, when we live in the flesh, it tells us, okay, well, you have to be perfect in order to, walk around and live this type of life. Like, no. If you believe in this, if you truly know this is who you are, then it's okay to make mistakes. But see, with the flesh, you feel entitled, because if you did, succeed in and doing the right, quote unquote, things, right, the good things, then you feel entitled, like you're better than someone. It's not about that. That's the ego. Get rid of it. Let it die. Right? Like, let it die. It's not something that is helping you. But when you let that go, then you are just able to live and not worry and not stress. Stop stressing. There's no need to stress. I understand the bills the bills pile up. The kids might be getting on your nerves. The ex or the boyfriend or the girlfriend is tripping, and you lost because you might be getting bullied or whatever it is. I don't know. Whatever your issue is out there, I'm letting you know right now that if you decide that you are greater than that, and you understand that you created it, because you are a creator, take responsibility for what you are creating. Because when you take responsibility and say, okay, I created this, okay, and I did it not knowing my powers, or I did it not understanding how to work it. But now that I know, I'm going to do what I need to do to make it through. And when you do that and you start to work on yourself, not just say you're going to work on yourself and then, like, not talk to people, that's not healing. You really need to get down and do some spiritual work to release your trauma. It's not only about, like, when you have these experiences, it gets into your biofield of that is around you. So if you don't know that, you have a biofield, right? And that still traps a lot of the energy. You might call it the aura. You might have heard it in that terms, but it still is within there. So you have to cleanse that. You also have to, right? And that thing, and you pick up energy when you walk past people. It's all types of things, right? So that's why I'm saying you gotta really work on it. And one way it is stop talking to people, right? But that's not the only way, because I see too many people out here who, yeah, I'm just getting myself together, but the habits and the thinking is still there. The only thing they did was just stop talking to that person, right? But they still carrying on all the baggage, and they think that just because after time, and then they meet someone who, again, slick talked them in the way that they want to be slick talked, or find the job that seems appealing, or whatever it may be, and then they get into it, realize, like, oh, I'm still the same. I just stopped focusing on it after a while. But just because you're not focusing on it doesn't mean it left. You could put, like, you could Febreze the trash in the corner of your house all day long. But unless you get rid of it, it's still going to be there. Just because you ain't worried about it and you're not paying attention to the smell and you just doing what you got to do doesn't mean that it's still not there and it's still not going to affect you in some way. Get rid of the trash. Get rid of the problems in your life. And the problems have started because you didn't know how to go about creating the life that you really desire. But I'm letting you know right now, right? And I'm letting you know as you go on this journey of yours, whatever you want to call it, but I call it a journey just to keep it simple. But as you go on that journey, I want you to realize that your flesh has the advantage. Now, I don't want you to take it as, okay, well, my flesh has the advantage, I'm just going to do that. No, but I'm going to let you know, like, it's going to be attracted to some things, right? It's going to want to go out and go to the club. And I'm not saying that's an issue, but you know what I'm saying? If you really are not happy with your life, or you see that you have a real drinking problem and stuff like that, and you're trying to quit something or do, you know what I'm saying? Like, the flesh is always going to go for the weakest option, the safest option. quitting and things of that nature. So when you understand that and say, okay, you know what, it's just naturally trained to want to do that because this is his playing field. But I know better and I have the power over it. And I have the true advantage overall because this game is not over until you are not breathing anymore. The game is not over until you're not breathing anymore. That's the great thing about this. So no matter what, no matter how many times you fall down because the flesh got the advantage or, you just fell into it, right? Because it's really one or the other. You still chose it, but it's because the flesh was like, hey, that looks good. I'm going to go with that. And you was like, you could have saw it too. You was like, I see you. And I know, I hear myself speaking to me saying that's not good. But guess what? If you get through it and you still alive the next day, you have the chance to now build on your spiritual possession. Take it one possession at a time. Every day is your spiritual possession to make something happen. And sometimes you will fall down, but it's okay because you're still learning. You didn't learn every lesson in school perfectly every day, right? Like we used to get homework. I know nowadays they don't really give the kids homework. Somewhat good, somewhat, I don't know. But, right, you had to practice. You didn't just add one time. You didn't do multiplication one time and then you was like, I'm good on all multiplication. I'm good on all adding. I'm good on all subtraction. No, you had to practice. Get your skills up. Same thing every day, one possession. That's your practice because eventually it will become you. It will just become your mood. It's just your default. Like when things happen, you're just gonna be like, whatever. I don't give a damn about that. Oh, okay, whatever. Or, you know what, congratulations. Always just in a positive mood. And I had to learn that because beforehand, you could talk to some old people about me and they'd be like, oh, he was kind of mean. But I had to realize I wasn't really mean. I just knew that certain people just wasn't right around me. I could call BS out, right? I wasn't just accepting of anyone around me. And sometimes I was just mean. I was just bitter, right? So it was both, right? Like I knew sometimes like everybody just want to accept everybody and do all this stuff. It's like, nah, you can't. It's got to be something greater. And that's how I always had that mentality. But then I also fell into the flesh of just like being bitter, being jealous, right? Of being not as kind as I could have been or more compassionate or, more supportive, right? Or not being as nitpicky. Because it took time and I had to really dig deep and look at myself and really read and study and practice this stuff. And that's what I'm saying to you. Your flesh will always have home field advantage as long as you are not practicing your spirituality. You have to practice it. It has to become something you do, not just something you speak, not just something you know, but something you do, something you are. Whatever you're choosing to do. That's where I want to get you to. And that's what this is about. So I always want to give you a tip, right? And the first tip is always gratitude. Like I will tell, like you will hear me say that so many times. Like one is gratitude. And the reason why I keep saying it, it changed my life. I'm so grateful. Like there's people right now who probably have just as much talent, just as much everything, but I'm grateful that I have the courage to do this, to post this stuff up, to want to help. And some people right now will have like changed millions of lives, just changed millions of lives, changed millions. Like I want you to understand there are some people out there that are holding knowledge that will just be phenomenal. But they don't have the courage. And I'm grateful that I see myself as being worthy. I'm grateful that I see myself as deserving more, and I accept all of myself. And that's what I have done. I have just started to accept myself and be grateful for who I am, all the flaws, all the good things, all the like everything. When I should be recording and I'm like, nah, I want to just lay in bed and I don't want to cheat on my wife nap. Right? Like you can't cheat on nap. Like I love me a good nap, man. I ain't gonna play with you. Nap is my wife and my only one right now. But so she's like, so when I usually am like, and I sometimes I'm just like, and I'm okay with that. That's very spiritual, right? And sometimes what I learned when I in the beginning when I was frustrated and stuff like that, naps work because it allows you to calibrate yourself back to being at zero. When you go to sleep, your body is going to relax and you're going to stop thinking about what you're thinking about and you're going to go back to neutral, right? When you wake up is one of the most critical points. You either could thank the universe, you could start in a positive mind, or you could start in a bad one. So it behooves you, as my high school teacher was tell us, to take on that opportunity to create something good when you first wake up. Whether that's starting off with meditating, whether that's starting off with writing in a journal about what you expect to happen today. It doesn't mean it's going to happen, but at least if you go with the mindset and every day wake up thinking something great is going to happen. I expect a miracle today in any form. And look for it. Expect it, see it. Because sometimes good things are happening and you like ignoring them because they're not something fantastic. You know, like something over the top, like, oh, I got a $10,000 raise at my job, or, you know, or someone paid for all my groceries or something like that. You know, it could be as simple as, you know, people smiling at you. You right? Giving you good vibes, no one judging you. You went the whole day not worrying about anyone giving you a nasty look. Like you just felt accepted. You just everything was just smooth. You get in grocery store, people helping you, people were nice, people said excuse me. It's just those certain things. Like we overlook the simple things. Because the simple things is what leads to the bigger things. And then those bigger things lead to the extraordinary things. Right? So you got to learn how to take the simple things. Finding money. Like I had a friend that I talk to all the time about this. And I tell him how like I find pennies all the time. Like little pennies. And every time I find one, I start thanking the universe for its infinite abundance that flows into my life. And I get really excited about it. Like, say, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I always do that. And if you find money, always do that and put it in and truly believe that because that is a sign. And sometimes we see that and some people just walk over it. They don't even give a damn, right? And understand that's a sign. Someone holds the door for you. Someone says hello, smiles at you. Those are perfect signs, right? Sometimes mistakes happen where it saves you money. Because I know some people are like, oh, I got to be honest about. No, if somebody makes a mistake and like you're paying for something you paid and then you realize they mischarged you and you already gone, that's a blessing. It's not like you went in the intention hoping that they mischarge you. Like if it happens and you catch it while you're still there, cool. But if it happens and you keep it moving, it's a blessing. It's no right or wrong, technically. Like that's not your responsibility. But those are simple little blessings that people might think like, oh, I feel bad. No, it's the universe helping you out. They made the mistake. So it's not hoping that people just make mistakes. But again, sometimes it might be on a bill. I'm giving you examples so that you can understand how this stuff works. So then when it does happen for you, you're not like, oh, okay, well, you know, that was just this, instead of understanding. Because when you start to see that and you recognize it in your life, then it helps you build the confidence to keep going and then make this a part of your subconscious. Then that becomes your reality. That's what I'm doing. It might be a bill, right? And they forget to charge you, right? And you needed a week and they forgot to charge you, and now they like, okay, well, we'll charge you, and it falls right after you needed the money. It's things of that nature, right? I'm telling you. For example, and I'll give you the example. So when I basically found the job that I'm at now, I found it by just being grateful and knowing that everything was going to work out. And I didn't have a job. I was facing eviction again after being evicted out of a place. I've said that before, but and I basically, here in the state of Texas, I mean, like, you really can just kick people out. You don't really, like, some states, you it takes months to get a to evict a person out. They can kick you out pretty quickly, within a week or two. It's very fast, right? So I'm thinking, right, like, it's the beginning of the new year, and I think it was a couple of years ago, and I was like, oh snap. So I'm still like trying to get this job. So I'm working the job, right? I don't get paid, right, until the end of the month because I just got the job. And so they like, okay, we're gonna lock the doors or whatever. So every night I had to come home around 11 o'clock and hope that I wasn't locked out. I wasn't supposed to be living there, right? So I'm every day kind of worried, up early a little bit, but then eventually I found another apartment, and it was like it just all worked out where basically they didn't come for a whole month to throw me out. A whole month. I've never heard that happen here. And it allowed me to get into the new place where then when they did come, I wasn't there anymore. And that's what I mean by like gratitude, right? And it was every day, it's just going to work out. Every day, the little things just started to add up, fall in place, getting different checks and things of that nature. Like everything added up. But if I would have fell into allowing my flesh to have the home field advantage and just fall into everything of being negative, of being down on myself, or, wanting to just throw myself into other things that were low vibrating, then I wouldn't have had the same results. But I didn't. I kept meditating. I kept listening to things, good music. I was listening to speeches and, tapes and learning, and I kept learning, and I just kept just seeing myself doing well, right? And I'm just going to keep doing that because that's the goal. Like, yeah, some of you might feel like you're at a disadvantage. You might feel like your race matter, your sex matter, and all that. And yeah, that's a part of the flesh, having home field advantage, but it still can't beat the spirit. Your spirit, your higher self is everything. It trumps all of it, right? It trumps all that. So I want you to understand that as you go out today, whenever you're listening to this, whenever you listen to it, understand today that yes, the flesh has the advantage here on this 3D planet because that's where it thrives, that's where it's supposed to be. But your spirit having a human experience and mind over matter. Your higher self is always going to win out when you give it the best possession it has every day. Okay? Every single day. Just simple things you can do with gratitude. Start a gratitude list. Like I was writing them all the time. About to get back to writing them more. Just because I realize I remind myself and I speak them more now because I know the essence of how it feels because I was writing them so much. But I'm going to get back to doing it just because I want that. I want to even magnify it even more. Right? Do your affirmations, right? Affirmations are good because it puts you in a good feeling state, and speak on what you truly know you can get to, right? Don't say you're a billionaire and you know you don't feel like one. But at the same time, I'm not against you saying it at all. Just keep saying it until is burned in your mind. I don't care. Whatever you think, whatever you're looking for, right? I have so many of them posted all around my studio. My business is prosperous. I know my value. I know my worth. Everything I need comes to me in the perfect time. I can't tell you how many times I have said that, and everything comes to me at the perfect time, right? And it's only me holding back the blessings and the manifestations and the more joy and everything in my life. I'm the one blocking it because I might fall back into allowing the flesh to have home field advantage instead of allowing myself to see the unbelievable, to know that anything can happen. Anything. That's what a miracle is. That's what makes life so magnificent. That's what makes it wonderful, right? And when you get and always believe in great things can happen, anything can happen, right? Then when it starts to happen, it's just gonna feel normal, and that's how it's supposed to be. Like, yeah, this is my reality. You know, welcome to my show, right? Like, welcome to the show. Like, you're welcome. You know, you get to see what it looks like to be this great. Come on and join me if you would like. That's what we are about. And when we start to do that, and we start to just have that energy and raise up people and become greater while we're in this body, that is what's going to change the world. Okay? So I love you. You're more than deserving of everything in this lifetime. You are worthy. All right? So I'm going to leave you with that. Okay? I love you. Again, please subscribe. Hit the notification, like, share this if you know anybody who wants to hear it, need more positivity in their life, going through something. Leave a comment so we can start conversations. I would love to share more and talk to you and hear more from you. I really appreciate whoever listens to this, whether it's one or a million. You know, that's all that matters, is that I get to do this because I really appreciate it, and I just love it. Okay? So I'll talk to you on the next one.